Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And as this is hot off the presser, we're proudly sponsored by High Point Access Limited, your number one-stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. If you mention the Ramble when you're asking for a quote, you'll receive 10% off any works. Find their details in all the links below. Thank you to High Point Access Limited for your continued support of the Blades Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is hot off the presser. Chrissy Wilder has just finished talking to the press prior to our game at Birmingham against Birmingham tomorrow at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. And yeah, how do you feel about it? Are we confident that we can start to turn things around a little bit? That little break now of 8 days between the last time we played against West Brom, a disappointing defeat. But we were plagued with injury and illness. You'd like to hope that that's no longer the case. So what did Wilder have to say? I have to say, the sun is beaming through the French doors of the studio. So I am blinded. Lights are blinding my eyes. So, and get in the comments who sang that song, because it's an old but gold. Right, let's jump into it. This is what AI tell me that Chris Wilder... I have watched the press conference, so I can... I watched the press conference and I also watched the transcript being recorded just to make sure it's in line. But then I have to put it into another system to get it like abbreviated. And we'll see if it comes out as I think. I've given it a quick scan. So this is what more or less was said in the press conference from Chrissy Wilder. So Andy Giddins started from Radio Sheffield. Radio Sheffield always start. That's usually, or it's always followed by the Sheffield Star, written publication, and that's Danny Hall. Very, very, very often, if Danny's away, then it'll be Chris Holt. But Andy Giddins was the Radio Sheffield representative that jumped on first, and he said, "What can you learn from last Friday's game?" And he said, "I've said it, no excuses. The performance wasn't good enough. 2 poor goals," and then he says, "Actually, I'm contradicting myself because I'm going to say no excuses, but it is a foul. Let's be right, it's a foul." He says, "First half we're okay. We should be in front, but second half we never looked like getting back into the game, and that disappointed me the most." And I could not agree more. I think that's been everybody's general summary of it. People talk about fatigue, tiredness, but we put a team out to win the game. I'll never spin anything. It was there for everyone to see. It was possibly one of the most frustrating performances since I've come back in. Not the result, the performance. The performance dictates the result. Since the Charlton game, we've gone right to the end. We've been intense. We've left everything out there. We've made individual errors and not put teams to bed. But Friday night was different. That's why I reminded the players of our core principles, what I will tolerate and what I won't. The message is loud and clear to the players. People who take it on board will be part of the journey, and those that don't will pass by the wayside. That's what's happened throughout my career. It's certainly happened since I've come to Sheffield United, and it'll happen again. I didn't see it coming. It was really frustrating. I was really disappointed. Hopefully there's a reaction, and it has to be put right by the performances. I completely agree, and he's not pulling any punches. Look, some will flip that and say, well, you're the manager, you're responsible for the performance. But I would also like to think that not many people, whether you think he should apportion some of the blame to himself or not, I think that's an accurate reflection of the players' involvement on Friday night. Andy then says, after the match, you mentioned that there may be changes going forward. He says, is that still on your mind in terms of team selection? He says, I've got to pick the right team, the right combination. Some players weren't involved. He mentioned Sam McCallum, Ben Mee, also mentioned Siddy, not available through injury previously. He says, I've said to Siddy this week, it's amazing how good a player you are when you're not in the team. That shows the contribution he makes. That, and this is me going off on a tangent again, that is a keynote that we often talk about and think about and aren't always aware of when we're doing it. And what I mean by that is, you look at what Ollie McBurney's doing this season, for example, at Hull, and loads of Blades are clamouring because we had the opportunity to sign Ollie McBurney and we didn't. But now, because he's doing well at Hull, and say Tyrese Campbell, for example, isn't quite doing the business like he was last season, what an absolute mess it is. Why didn't we go get McBurney? All this sort of thing. He's become the Championship R9 because he's not with us. And that's just one example. It's probably a bad one because he's doing very well for Hull and he's justifying a high reputation this season. But there's all sorts of examples of, if we had this player or if we had that player, then they are often looked back at as much better players than they were, because to sort of compensate for the poor issues that we've got going on. So, for example, in the short term, what he's talking about is things like the Matos and Samari performance against Norwich. Immediately you think, well, if City's in this team, that doesn't happen. It might still happen. City might have had a poor game, but City becomes a much better player when he's not in the team, and that's exactly what he's talking about. The lucky ones are the ones who get the opportunity to put it right. The others will still have a role to play. This isn't an individual sport. It's not a time to be selfish or ask why you're not playing. There's always a reason. My job with the coaches is to pick the right team, the right formation against a talented opponent. A Peckham City, again, this just shows what we're dealing with, doesn't it? Is Peck in a position to play now? And I think he'd mentioned Ben as well, Ben Mee. He says, no, both are unavailable this week and they're progressing well. We'll have a scan for Ben next week to see how his hand is healing. City, we've got to be careful with. I don't want to rush him back, especially with the Christmas period coming up. Is vital to the club. He did also mention, that's not been recorded here, but he also mentioned that Ben Mee is back in training. He's just unable to do any contact training. So he can do everything apart from the contact aspect of it. He can warm up with the team, etc., but it's the contact that they've got to manage. You'll be aware of a social media post from Ben Godfrey. This has been doing some of the rounds. Can you clarify his situation? He put something like 27 and out, I think it was. He put a cryptic post on his Instagram, removed all mention of Sheffield United, and it's been inevitable what's going to happen with Ben Godfrey's loan ever since he came out of the side. And he's been dealing with things behind the scenes for a personal issue that I'm not going to speculate on. I've heard little bits and bats about. It's not our business, to be fair. He's unavailable for selection and has been for some time. And from a business standpoint, and that's what we're looking at as a club at the moment, we don't know the personal measures that have gone into place to help Ben Godfrey with his personal issue. But from a business standpoint, it makes zero sense to keep a player like that is unavailable for selection. So Chris Wilder confirmed we've been in discussions about terminating the loan early, and that's been advanced. Ben is no longer with us. Ben Godfrey's loan has been terminated with Sheffield United. Just unfortunate. Didn't work out. I thought he'd be a player for us. Looking at some of his previous performances, a lot of people, particularly in our Platinum chat, and I'd name check him if I could remember exactly who and when, but I think there were a fair few. I know my dad, Man Mountain, just to name a couple, weren't keen on the signing. Didn't really know what we were getting with the player because he hasn't shown anywhere near the potential that he had done in previous years. Like on the wane, if you like, already at this age, similar to a Ben Brereton Diaz, where they've started well and then they've just never really hit the heights again. So yeah, it's been unfortunate for Ben Godfrey. We wish him well. He's gone back to Italy now. It's not worked out at Sheffield United, but we move on as a football club, and he mentioned again, I don't know whether it's mentioned further down here, but we recycle that money back into the club and utilise it for players that can compete at first team level. It was then asked about Patrick Bamford. Any updates? He says he's in discussions with I don't know whether this were a little bit. I don't know how I feel about this. I thought this pushed it further away slightly. I hope it's not, and I think we'll get it done. But it's the least committed I've seen him on an answer about Bamford, really. On Bamford, any update was the question from Andy. He's in discussions with his agent and the club. Performance-wise, maybe Friday caught up with him a little bit. Coming in without much football and playing big minutes, that might be on me. I agree. I think it was probably his poorest performance in a United shirt, but he wasn't alone in that in terms of Friday. It was outstanding against Stoke. The team was outstanding. I wanted to go again. It was a bit off it, but he's enjoying his football here. He's expressed a wish to extend, but their agents will always explore other options. We have to accept that. Hopefully, it gets extended because he gives us that number 9 profile that I've talked so much about. Just a random one from Andy. He says, just out of the blue, because I've seen him walking out corridor, Matti Zatterstrom. He actually said Nils Zatterstrom. I don't know where he's got that name from, but we know him as Matti Zatterstrom on this channel. What's your thoughts on his development so far? He says he's one of a group of players that need loans and experience. I've had conversations with the owners again this week about ambition, depth, quality, and competition and experience. Everything we need to be consistent. That's how you have an enjoyable second part of the season. We are loaded. He was part of a group of players that have come in to the football club and need to play football. Completely agree. Nils Zatterstrom, we're looking at a loan for him, which is really good. Do you sense the message from last week has landed ahead of the Birmingham game? Says Andy. I think that might have been Andy's. Oh, it weren't his last one. It says, Wilder says, training's been excellent, but it's about 3 o'clock on Saturday. I expect a reaction, and I usually get one. We can't control everything, but what we can control is our attitude and approach, and that's been spot on this week. Maybe it's been a reminder to me as well not to get ahead of ourselves. Championship football demands full focus all the time. I apologise to the players. Maybe I put too much expectation on them too soon. Some will take us forward, some won't. January will be important. I think this is when Danny Hall came in. It might have been the prior question, so apologies to Dan. But Danny says, have you had conversations with those players about who fits into that future? He says, well, I like to think I'm a transparent manager, but you can't be transparent all of the time. I'm not going to tell players they're not going to be involved in our future if they're still playing for the football club. He says, but nobody's got credit in the bank. They're all essentially on trial and always are. Top players want more. They want first, not second. That's the mindset. My job is to make sure Friday nights like that don't happen regularly. We have a plan. There will be movement, loans, experience, exits if needed to make us stronger going into the new year. Dan then says, any movement on any other loan players? He says, Louis Barry has an injury issue, which we're discussing, terminating his loan because of that as well. We need fit and healthy players. Financially, we also need to free up space too. The board have been excellent, I have to say, fully supportive and backing our improvement proposals in January. We need more Stoke, more Leicester, more Sheffield Wednesday performances, not West Brom. Finally, on City, says Danny, there's been some speculation about Premier League interest. You've always said that's a good thing because it shows that your players are doing the right thing. He says, yeah, you want to keep your best players, but you have to understand ambition and finances. If something changes a player's life, it has to be discussed. Sid's been brilliant. We want to build around our best players because we want to get out of this division. He's got personality, character, loves the club. I enjoy working with him. Supporters enjoy watching him, and that matters. And the final question was, the penultimate question. And just on Jack Robinson returning to Bramall Lane on Saturday, any thoughts on that? He says, yeah, he's a winner. Some love him, some don't. But he gives everything. He's been part of promotions, finals, and big moments for this football club. The character is a huge asset. He said that he loved winning and he hated losing, and you knew about it when he lost a game. And I don't mind that aspect of it really. But so he said he got on great with Jack Robinson. Good for them. Reporter says one final thing. James Board. Stephen Bettis has previously spoken about any transfers that go through in terms of AI development and things like that, and January work goes through Steve Board's as like a sense check. James Board is like a sense check, and with his interest in the other side of the city, will that now have less of an impact going forward, or be a lesser part of the approach that we take? And he says zero involvement in January. There'll be zero involvement in January. And then Kev jumped in and said, thank you, gentlemen. And that was it. That was the end of the presser. So James Board is his involvement is minimum to nil at the moment in terms of influencing transfers at Sheffield United, according to this press conference. I thought that were a really informative really interesting press conference again from Wilder. So he talked about Ben Godfrey's loan being terminated. We're looking at sending Louis Barry back. He didn't mention any of the other loans, which I think we'll continue to speculate on. But he also talked about Patrick Bamford's contract extension talks. Again, not really the positive update that we'd have been hoping for in the wake of Gyro having signed his deal. But plenty of talk about the players, having to prove themselves going into January, and they're always on trial. Talk about City Peck, an interest in City Peck, and that we'll never hold back a player who can have his life changed, but we do want to keep hold of him. Him and Ben Mee are still not available for tomorrow's game. So really good press conference from the gaffer. Let me see now. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse gone? Oh, is it here? Oh, there it is. There it is. Couldn't see it for a second because I'm blinded by this light. Right, so let's get to your comments before we wrap up. Paul, the Cop Bladesman, says, "Hi, Jimmy. Hope you're feeling better. I'll make you a cappuccino, pal." Thank you, mate. You keep offering to make me a cappuccino, which I appreciate. I do love a good cappuccino. Are you a barista? Or do you just make a banging cappuccino? What is the crack with that? Missed the morning brew streams. It was good. The morning brew streams are something that we broadcast on Behind the Ramble randomly. So Behind the Ramble is meant to be sort of behind the scenes of what we do here. So I've been going live a couple of times recently with a morning brew and just talking people through my day as to what we've got on. I haven't done one for a couple of days. They're not going anywhere though, Paul. I've quite enjoyed doing them, and I'll just randomly jump on when I can. There's a couple of big plans for, well, there are some big plans for Behind the Ramble going into the new year, and I would encourage anybody that would like to know a bit more about that to subscribe to Behind the Ramble, because, in fact, I think what we're going to do, this is only first comment in it, and look at me rambling on, but I think what we're going to do is, tomorrow, come rain or shine, at the request of Big T. It's Big T's Christmas party for the Ramblers, I suppose. We best badge it. And happy birthday, little G, as well, from yesterday. I know I've already said it in group, but I'm saying it again on stream. So we're all going to be there at the hotel. Come rain or shine, win, lose or draw, tomorrow we are doing an after party. I think I'll probably broadcast again after the after party on Behind the Ramble, just to get a little bit of a feel as to what's going on. I love that, so that some of our Ramblers who aren't able to join us can feel like they're a bit of a part of the do as well. And then on Sunday, we're going to do a Christmas special 3 Mardy Blades 90 after 90 edition. So it's a bit of a mashup. I'm hoping it's 3 Merry Blades after a win, but we'll have to wait and see. I've got 2 thumbnails planned, one where we're 3 Merry Blades, another where we're 3 Mardy Blades. So we will still get a 90 after 90, and do not worry for those of you that love your 90 after 90. I do too. But there may be a few players knocking about tomorrow in the hotel and stuff, so we'll see what we can get for the after party, and that is the plan. I'm going for a 2-0 Blades win against Birmingham. Goals by Pat Bamford and a worldie from Gustavo Hamer. You would never bet against a worldie from Gustavo Hamer, whether you feel like he's playing well or not at the minute. You never bet against a Gus worldie. Mel says, "Merry Christmas to all Ramblers. We have faith in Chris. He will deliver for us. Let's rock the lane this Saturday." Yes, Merry Christmas to one and all. This is not the last time I'll be live, obviously, before the big day. But if this is the last time you see us, then I want to say thank you to everybody and wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Dave Morwood says, "Afternoon, Jimmy. Hope the gaffer has calmed down. We got this tomorrow. I'm positive 2-0. Up all the Rambles. Up the Blades. Up the positive 6. Like and subscribe, please, to the best award-winning Blades content creator. It's free. Or join the Plats." Yes, speaking of Plats as well, I know Jack was asking about it. I'm going to do a ho-ho hot topic, I think, next week. And probably Tuesday if we can squeeze it in. Ho-ho hot topic. So that should be fun as well. Big T says, "Nah then, Jimmy lad. Off we go again, 2-0. Set us up for a good Christmas and New Year. I'd take 9 points out of the next 12. I bet you would. And see where we are then. Come on, the Blades." Nice one, Big T. Are you doing Ramble on Road tomorrow, T? You'll have to let me know. Batman Lou, co-presenter with Man Mountain on Ramble FC of Top 20 Takes and All Aboard the Championship. Love that show, by the way. Very underrated. "Typical of what we've seen from him this season," says Lou. "Unwavering, honest, and all business tone. We're relying on attitude and mentality tomorrow, despite Brom's away form. We have to turn up." We have to get our bit right. No 50% and no shortcuts. Starts in the middle of the pitch. And this game in particular, I think that's critical. We have to win our duels. Up the ramble, up the blades, like and subscribe. I've gone with Blaster and Gyro. If you've watched Countdown to Kick Off, you'll know that anyway. I think Blaster, we can get 60 minutes out of Blaster. I'm hoping Gyro's almost ready to do a full 90. I think that's our best available combination with City out. I know Blaster's not at 100%, but once he gets close to that, I don't think anybody can really touch that. Tom Davis does not come into the equation, unfortunately. Do you think, hi Jimmy mate, do you think we'll sign Paddy on a longer deal? He's certainly out the Blades team, and I reckon he will score Saturday against the Blues. He's a real great bloke to have in the squad. Up the ramble, up the blade, says Paul. Yeah, I think we will sign it. I certainly hope we do, because he's a Rambler. We sponsor him. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Big Pat signs an extension, and I'm pretty sure he will do. Ray says, afternoon all, looking forward to tomorrow, hopefully get 3 points. Reading between the lines, I think Bamford will be off in January. Probably America. We'll have to wait and see. That is the only sort of danger, I think, that he goes to America. And I think somebody mentioned one at Big 2 in Scotland. It might have been Man Mountain on one of the shows that we've done. Tom says, afternoon, Jim. Hope you're all good. A bit nervous about tomorrow. Back to the old feeling of not knowing with the blades, which side he's going to turn up. Fingers and toes crossed for the good team to turn up. Absolutely right, pal. Positive Jack says, good evening. Oh, my neck. Evening, pal. Hope you're well. I feel like death, so I had a long nap and woke up just in time for this. Bring us some good news. I'm still going to the match tomorrow, though. We need to make sure we do our part. That midfield needs to be sold. Thank you for coming to the game and the after party, pal, to spread your germs to everybody just before Christmas. Very thoughtful of you. No, it'd be good to see you, pal. Scotty says, Mike Ashley looking like the next owner of the Pigs. However, his bid is below the 30 mil, and Pigs could and will start next season on -15. Don't care. Don't give a flying monkey what happens to that blue and white lot. I hope the staff get paid. I hope the players get paid. And I hope they get relegated, which they definitely will. And I'd love them to start on -15 next season. But they are insignificant, and I think that probably hurts them more to hear. But they are so insignificant in terms of direct competition to us. It's embarrassing. One of the worst sides the Championship has ever seen. And I know there's circumstances behind that. There's reasons for it. But they could go down with the lowest total points, accrued even, without the minus, ever. And oh, will that be so funny. Gotta Think says, well, Jimmy, I think we could describe the answer to the final question from Danny Hall as unequivocal. Cold. Unequivocal. Sorry, it's easy for me to say. Cold. It was cold. He wasn't having it, was he? Jim, glowing like the angel Gabriel here. Oh, thank you very much, mate. The low winter sun is a paid actor. Very nice. The Streets, Jimmy, classic. Yes, you know it. You know it, Jack. Statman Jack. Afternoon, mate, says Sarah. Is it Sarah or Sarah? It'll be hard for you to probably say in the comments, won't it? But I don't want to be badging you up wrong, Sarah. Hoping for a win tomorrow. Me too. We'll be partying anyway in the hotel afterwards. For anybody that wants to join us, directly after kick-off, into the hotel, and we'll be there live with the after party. If you want to come and say hello and have a few comments, please keep it clean. It's a family show, but it's one of them things, isn't it? Paul says, hi Jimmy, just laid on a sunbed in Lanzarote. Watch the highlights against West Brom. Really poor goals. Hopefully gets better against Birmingham. Up the blades, up the ramble. Nice one, pal. Hope you're having a good time. Weather's been crap here, you'll be glad to know. Josh says, saw the countdown to kick off earlier, and I've been saying we should look at cashing over the last couple of weeks. I think he's a better option than Mark McGuinness. He wants a reaction, and I think he gets it. I won't mind cashing at all. Not getting in at Birmingham. There was a Birmingham fan that came on the stream, though, and said he's been shocking for them. I think about the cashing at Derby and know what player you could get, but we'll have to wait and see. Would it be... I think there's big changes coming. Whether it happens in January, I'm not sure. Up the blades, Ramble, says Matt. Nice one, pal. Jack says, Ben Meat and Peck are a massive miss. Yes, they are. Sound like there's outside noise for Bamford, which is understandable. True. Joe says, afternoon, Jim. Thank God Wilder is back at the helm. Recruitment in the summer was dreadful, and the Godfrey saga sums it up. The only manager I'd place my trust in to get us back into the Prem without parachute payments. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, my mate. I completely agree. As you know, I'm a Wilder disciple. Sometimes blinded by it. I'll take that too. But I wouldn't want anybody else leading us. Michael says, oh Lord, Michael Brown says, Wilder made a mistake in leaving Bamford on the bench for the home match against Norwich. As Connor from One Leeds would say, if Bamford is in goal-scoring form, you keep him in the team. Connor from One Leeds. Bisto Brett says, in Wilder we trust. I can see us doing a job on Brum. There are a lot of frailties that we can exploit, and can see the reaction to West Brom being we show our best side against these. Up all the Rambles, up the positive ones. Yes, mate, I will definitely see you in the hotel. Probably worse for wear. Fully believe the board. Fully back Wilder in the summer. We can have a bang. Fully believe if the board fully back Wilder in the summer, we can have a banger of a season next year, says Joe. He just gets it, and he gets what we need as a club. You've got to enjoy the rest of this season. We've just got to enjoy the rest of this season. Yeah, I agree. Tricky, isn't it? Because I'm with you here, and you don't have to convince me, but people poo-poo the old he gets it line, but I think it goes a bit deeper with Chris Wilder. He knows what the club's about and knows what we need to drive us forward, in my opinion. The players brought into the club using this new AI model would not have been Wilder's choice, like Bindon and Barry. And then he says, Jimmy, have you done all your Christmas shopping? I'm not sure. I've still got to wrap the wife's stuff and then see if the pile looks big enough. Spent a fortune on that, but hoping James Board is finally off the board, says Joe. Brand says, afternoon, Jim. Not sure if Seed of Chirac is here or anyone else knows what we're trying to do under Sayers. Answers on a postcard, please. Chrissy Wilder's Red and White Wizards all the way. You know it, Bran. You know it, my mate. Lots of talk in the feeds about Gus and Leeds again. I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one after last time. I told you exactly what happened and got absolutely brought up at goals for it, so I'm not going near it. But we will talk about it if that talk ramps up again, because I think there'll be some different opinions this time on it. Bran says, also, Merry Christmas to you and the family, Jim. Hope you all have a healthy and happy one. Thank you, Bran. You too, pal. And everybody watching. As I say, it won't be the last time I'm live. But for those that don't catch us again, thank you all for your support this year. It's been absolutely incredible. We have been the most watched Sheffield United channel this year by a stretch, and I cannot thank everybody enough that supports us and allows me to do this for a living. I know there's a lot of people that would love to do it as well and might even do a better job of it than I do, but it's an absolute privilege to do this for a living, and I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas. 2-0 Blades, Cooper and Peck. Cooper and Peck? Okay. Peck's not going to score and because he's not going to play, and Cooper is the goalkeeper, but fair enough. Shows how bad the depth is in the middle when we think Blaster is our best option after just coming back from injury, says Jack. You're right, pal. You're right. Jimmy, with the Owls likely to get relegated, won't you miss the Steel City derbies? Nope. Hate them. Hate them. M. Webster says, Blades 3-0 win incoming. I hope you're right, pal. I hope you're right, Matt. That'll be nice. Missing the intro music from Matilda Shakes. Can you bring back the intro music from them, Jimmy? It was at the beginning, Michael. It was at the beginning of the stream. We won't be moving away from Matilda Shakes. It is the soundtrack to the Ramble. It's been a mutually beneficial relationship, and I think we've grown together. I talk to James regularly. He's one of our Platinum Ramblers. He's absolutely top class. Would rather have Charlie Hughes over Cashin, says Bran. Solomon's been mentioned. Jim, thoughts? I like Solomon. I like Charlie Hughes. I think there's more talk to be had about potential transfers. Absolutely right. Tom says Bindon and Barry weren't AI signings. No, they were Ruben Sayers signings, weren't they? The AI signings are Chukwu, Okaki, Zatterstrom, them sort of players, aren't they? Jack says, I'd love Gus to stay, but I don't see it happening. I'm hoping we knuckle down on bringing players in who can do more than 60 minutes. And Graham just says, hey up, Chuck. Hey up, Chuck. Hope you're well. Right, I'm going to call it there. thank you to everybody for watching. It's been a quick one today. It was a pretty snappy press conference from Wilder, so that means we don't have to spend too long going over it afterwards. Next time you see me, we will be live for the after party. Unless, obviously, next time you see me on screen, unless you're going to the game tomorrow, please do come and say hello. And we'll see you after at the hotel. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I've gone 2-1, if I remember back to countdown to kick off, but I'm happy with that. I think we can turn it around. And just so I can shove it to Cal Fowler when I see him on Monday. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades!